I remember standing by this Dodge Charger, thinking how cool it would be to own one day. Well, at the age of 21, while working as a cook, I made one of my childhood dreams come true, and today I'm driving this 2014 red Dodge Charger SXT.
At this point, Travis had the car for several years and was looking to do something to basically step it up a notch. So I suggested that we go with a flat black wrap for the hood and for the mirrors. The first step was to remove the sound dampening material from the underside of the hood so that we could get access to the spray nozzles for the windshield. And you can see here I snap one off, which was, kind of stupid on my part. Once we'd removed the spray nozzles, it gave us a chance, and Travis stopped crying, gave us a chance to measure the hood so that we could decide how we were going to mount the material, whether we were going to you do two pieces or one piece, and the preference is to do one piece. We did a visual inspection on the hood to make sure that everything was okay. There were a lot of paint chips, and that brings up an interesting comment. When Travis bought the car, they talked him out of paint protection film and convinced him he should use ceramic coating. And you can see from the damage on the car, that on the hood of the car, that ceramic coating is, although wonderful for the paint, does not protect it like paint protection film does. Don't kid yourself. Roll of paper towel, and now I'm spraying it down with a solution of 70% isopropyl alcohol, 30% water, and giving the vehicle a good wipe to make sure there's no contaminants, oils, anything on the hood itself. Once the hood was cleaned and dried, it gave us a chance to get the material, and now that we knew that what the size it was, we were able to stretch out the material and then make the final cuts. I prefer to cut everything on a table, but to be honest with you, the table that I have is across the shop floor, which is a ways away, so I just went ahead and cut it by the vehicle, and I had an extra set of hands, so it was no problem for me to go ahead and do that. I should mention this is a 3M product that we're using. It's the product 280 in a matte black finish, and it's just fantastic to work with. I've got to say that is a really, really nice product to deal with. So what I'm doing at this point is I'm glassing out the material on the hood of the car, and I'm actually trying to use one of these wrappers gloves, which I really, to be honest with you, have had very little experience with. I'm kind of old school, and I usually, in the past, have always used squeegees, but my understanding is that with these films and pullback, you can get a lot of lines. So I really took my time and tried to get comfortable using, you can see me here going back to the old school methods, but I really tried to embrace the glove, and as I get more experience with it, I'm going to get more and more comfortable using it. At this point, I've gone ahead and completed probably 70% of one side of the hood, and I'm just going through and removing any, basically heating the film and removing any marks that developed on the film from managing the material, and just going through and letting it heal itself with the heat gun, and then I'm glassing it out and then applying pressure and setting the film. It really is not very difficult to do. You just take your time and be patient, and don't rush or don't go too far in any one direction. But I do, when I do a larger hood like this, I start and I do one side, and then I move over and do the other side. Here I'm just chasing some little air bubbles out. The beauty of this product is that it has air channel technology for removing air bubbles. I really try to avoid using heat on any areas that can have potential for pullback. So here I'm just trying to release the tension and using the glove, trying to get the material to lay into the curve and not to stretch into the curve, so to avoid pullback. So I'm really trying to take that off. I should mention that I do like to use the smaller knives, and I like to use plastic knives when I have them, and I do buy them. I don't know what happens to them. I think the staff like them more than I do, and they're always gone, and all I'm left with is the regular old box cutters. So I tend to use box cutters, and it's probably an old bad habit that I should be getting some of the thinner knives, but I've never had a problem with box cutters, and they do work fine. And as long as you're popping your blades regularly, you're going to be in good shape. I know it's kind of silly, but I tend to go around the car and I tend to cut it farther back, the material. So I could be cutting this a lot closer, and in the end, for a lot of the spots I do, but my first pass around the outside of the vehicle tends to be a little farther away, typically a 1/2 inch. And that way I've got, if I make a mistake, I've got some material, I've got some room to reach back in. But it seems to work well for me, and everybody develops their own style. It just takes time. At this point, I'm starting to roll the material over the edge of the hood, and starting to make the turn, and just going through and getting the last of the cuts done. I do have to say that I like the glove, and I like the idea of the glove. It tends to work really well. I'm just not that proficient with it yet. So you'll see here, I start to go back to old school and just use my fingers without a glove on. It's just a habit I'm trying to break, but we'll get there. You don't want to have a lot of excess material hanging over the edge of the hood, so you tend to want to do a final cut of maybe 1 centimeter. That way the material doesn't have the ability to start to lift off from the engine heat, and you want to make sure that it stays final shape and you don't get peel back. So I tend to shorten it up quite a bit at that point and roll the material over. Here you can see I'm using my hands without the glove, probably out of frustration. The mirrors in this car are quite extreme. They've got a couple of pretty severe turns, and the best way to handle that is by doing inlays. I was trying to do it all in one piece, and mainly just for the fun of it. I don't know why I like to do that, but sometimes I just like to challenge myself. And I did get fairly close to getting this all done in one piece, but I knew that this would have pullback like crazy, and I'd be doing warranty on this forever. So after a couple of quick tries, I decided to do inlays on it, and I did an inlay on the inside closest to the window. And across the seam line, across the front of the mirror, there was a great ridge there that was easy to work with. And you can see here I'm using the knifeless tape and pulling the material off the top of it. And this is the end result.